Hello everybody, Aaron Stark here. Hope everybody's doing well. I just wanted to say hi and let you guys know how my trip was, because that was just fantastic. If you don't know, I spent the last couple of days in Jackson, Mississippi, actually Vicksburg, Mississippi, and I was speaking at the Mississippi School Nurses Association conference. It was for every school nurse or all the school nurses in Mississippi. I think they sent a representative from each one. I don't know how it worked, but it was a couple hundred nice, fine Southern women who were just the most sweet, amazing group of people. I felt so welcome and so loved and just part of the group. It was so fun. First off, it was my first time ever being down south. I've been west a lot. I've been like California and Oregon, Washington, that kind of stuff, but I've never been south. And that was an experience. Tell you what, man. Like, first off, you could tell going right in that it's a slower pace. It's just a slower kind of town. And I was loving it. It was hot and humid because, that's what happens. But it was, the hotel I was at was nice, kind of empty. It was the Margaritaville Hotel, and it was really nice amenities, but the place was kind of a ghost town for a resort hotel. It was kind of bizarre. My trip, now let's talk about the actual trip before I get to what it was like. So, my trip itself was frustrating on both ends. So, on my flight in, I missed I fly from Denver, then to go to Dallas, then fly from Dallas down to Jackson. Okay, and I missed my flight from Dallas to Jackson by 1 minute because I stopped to get a Starbucks. Yep, I stopped to get a Frappuccino, and I missed my plane by 1 minute. And I freaking had to sit for 2 hours waiting until I got another flight. Then when I finally got the flight, I had to wait. Oh, here's my bunny, Isabella. Come on in, Isabella.
Hi.
Then when I finally got the flight, I had to wait 2 hours on the tarmac so I could before we could take off, because there was a line of planes before we could leave. Excuse me. There was a line of planes before we could leave, and it was just the most frustrating thing. The airports were like the three different levels of size. Okay, so DIA, where I left from, is huge. It's absolutely massive. There's the concourses are so big, you have to take trains to go from each one, from like concourse A, concourse B. There's a shuttle train that goes there, and each one is just insanely huge. It's super technological. There's a lot of advancement. There's a lot of people around. Let me go ahead and sit up so they can see. There's a whole lot of people everywhere, and there's restaurants and shops and all that kind of stuff. The things you would see on like the terminal with Tom Hanks. Okay. So that's DIA. That's where I started from. Then I flew to Dallas, and I am not a fan of the Dallas airport. Tell you what, that airport was terrible. It was so full of people. It was so small. It was cramped. The customer service was terrible. The whole experience in the Dallas airport was just not enjoyable at all. Then I flew into the Jackson airport, and it was like the polar opposite of DIA. It's so small that when I called for my ride, to have my ride come pick me up, I was saying, well, I don't know what gate I'm going to meet you at, and I don't know where you're going to be. He was like, oh, I'll just meet you at the baggage claim. Because that's just the one, and it was nice. And like I literally went down one escalator, and he was right there. Like I didn't have any problem getting to him at all. It took 15 minutes just to travel from the plane to the baggage claim in DIA. And I literally got off the plane, walked down one escalator, and the guy's right there in Jackson. So it was a huge difference. So the trip out was frustrating, longer than I expected. But then when I got there, I immediately went into some of the best hospitality I've ever been. Southern hospitality absolutely lived up to its name. You ladies of the Mississippi Nurses Association, and when you see this, Dee Dee Standard and Connie Board and the other ladies that showed me such a fantastic time, I just have to say, you were the warmest and most loving people in the world, and I felt so welcome. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart. From the minute I got there, I felt like I was part of the group. I went to, right when I arrived, because my flight was so late, by the time I got there, it was the banquet dinner. So I immediately had some of the finest barbecue and finest sausages and finest southern food that I have ever had in my life. Like, that stuff was so tasty. There was some pork belly and some glazed sauce and some sausage pieces. Man, for someone who can eat mostly sausage and cheeses, that was just a smorgasbord of delights. And then I went through the next day. I was super nervous because I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't really prepare my speeches. I don't really practice. I don't really write them down because it has to be raw, it has to be real, and it has to be like straight from the heart. So I just get up and like open up my chest and let everybody in. And so I didn't prepare for this speech. I have the mental list in my head. I know what I'm going to say because it's my story and yada yada. But I didn't do any kind of rehearsal, and I didn't do any kind of prep for it. And that, at least visible. Like my friends and my agent remind me all the time that the prep I'm doing is actually all internally in my head. I'm rolling it around in my brain, and I'm constantly doing that. I'm always refining it, picking out different pieces where I'm going to adjust what I'm going to say. But I didn't actually do like a rehearsal, and I didn't like write down anything. So I was kind of nervous going into it because, you know, it's one of my first big, huge paid gigs, going across state lines, going to someplace I've never been. I wanted to live up to the billing. I wanted to make myself worth it. And it could not have went better. Could not have went better. I got up there and I just immediately fell right into the pocket, and it just was perfect. I opened up completely. I exposed everything. I love the way my speeches go because I do like a half an hour of actual speech, and then there's like an hour of question and answer period. So twice as long question and answer period as the actual speech. And that's where the real meat of it is. I'm working hard on getting the video up of the question and answer part. I have the video, I have the MP4. For some reason, YouTube doesn't want to upload it from the format I have, so I'm trying to work to figure that out. So soon, you'll have the video of the question and answer portion up. It was just outstanding, the whole experience. And then afterwards, I love that it's so personal, and everybody got to ask such real and raw questions. And then I immediately go into basically a meet and greet and go meet people and hang out at the hotel, go out and have dinner. Went out that night and had amazing seafood. Went and had some blackened catfish at this the Walnut Hills restaurant in Vicksburg, and it was just spectacular. And I was treated and brought out there by some of the finest women that I've met that were just super sweet, just absolute epitome of a Southern belle, every single one of them, and it just warmed my heart. And the next day we finished out the conference. I enjoyed some really fine speakers. And then I went and had some more fine Southern food. Went and had my first experience with soft-shelled crab. That was fun. Where you actually eat the shell. I had never done that before. And it was really tasty. So,
why do you eat the shell?
You eat the shell. The shell is soft shell, so you cook it. And they cook it in butter. And when you eat it, the shell is not hard. So it's not like it's a hard shell at all. You can't even really tell that it's a shell.
Huh?
They just don't take the shell off the crab. So instead of having like crab legs, you just have a whole crab on your plate.
What the hell?
Yeah, I know. It looked kind of weird, but it was really fun to eat, and it was really tasty. So I really enjoyed it. And then I actually stopped, got some McDonald's for the plane ride home because, you know, got to have some kind of protein while I'm in the air. And then the flight home. So the flight home went okay. I'm going back in the reverse from this, all right? So I started at the Jackson Airport, and Jackson Airport is small, quaint, super easy to get through, no problem whatsoever. I had no problem getting to my gate because it was like 50 feet from the door. So I had no issue there whatsoever. And the plane's nice and small. It was kind of like I felt like the other ones were like big jets. This was like a really nice small plane. It was a cool experience. And then I fly from there to Dallas. Plane's slightly late getting into Dallas. So I literally have to run through the Dallas airport to get to my flight. Okay, they board in groups, and I'm in group 6. And by the time I get to my flight, they're finishing group 9 of 9 and just about to shut the door. So I barely made my plane in time. Okay, I finally get on the plane. Plane's nice. The plane ride was fun. I watched a movie on the airplane. I watched that Fighting with My Family with the new WWE movie. That was nice and interesting. That was pretty cool. And then after that, I finally get to Denver. Okay. I got to Denver at 10 o'clock. My bag got to Denver at 1 o'clock in the morning. because my bag ended up on another airplane that then got delayed on that line of planes coming out of Dallas. And so it sat on the tarmac. And then when it finally came, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, I had a close friend, Veronica, who was so sweet and willing to wait and pick me up because I didn't have any other ride home. And she thought that she was going to pick me up at 10, which would have been okay because that's normal times. But she had to stay till 1 o'clock in the morning. And she did it out of the kindness of her heart, and I love you. Thank you so much, Veronica. Thank you, William and Joey, for keeping me company during the night. You guys are a blast. I love you. I finally got home at 1 o'clock in the morning. 1:30, almost 2 o'clock. I finally got to my house because I got to drive from the airport. Man, and then I just couldn't sleep. So I didn't end up going to sleep until like 5:30 this morning. Slept from like 5 to 9, and so I'm kind of still running on fumes. Kind of still a little jet lagged. But I'm so happy that I'm home. And so, as I was gone, my beautiful wife hung up my signs, the brand new signs behind my seat that'll be part of the scenery from here on out. They also hung the TV on the wall. We have a big flat screen TV, and they hung that on the wall instead of just having it sit on the table.
They mounted it.
They mounted it, and it's fantastic. And now I get to be back with my rainbow bunny. And she's the best part of my whole world. She's the sweetest thing in the whole world. And I love it. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you all for your love and support. Thank you for supporting me on this journey. I could not have went better. And I think I'm set up for a couple more gigs. So I have a couple more speeches coming up now. Because when I get in front of people, there's something magic that happens. And I love it. So thank you all. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notifications button. I'll be back with an episode of The Way Out is Through tomorrow or the next day. Get back on track with those. I'm just going to decompress, get myself back in time, spend the day enjoying my family, enjoying being back home. So, as always, you are not alone.